All right. So I'm going to go ahead and call to order this evening's meeting, and let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Melissa, if you could pop up your screen. Thank you. Okay. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
One nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, at this time, Melissa, I'm going to ask if you could do a roll call attendance, please.
Okay, one moment, sorry.
Okay.
Okay, Tia De Palma.
Here. Did you hear
Jennifer
that?
Yep.
Thank you.
Sorry, my internet's a little shaky today. Lisa Geraci Anastasio. Tom Hennessy. Thought I saw him.
He's here. I see him.
All right, you have to allow me. You have to allow me to unmute myself, and I'm here.
Hold on, sorry about that. Let's see.
Are you
Channel
sure?
list. Oh, I see it. Okay, sorry about that. It's fixed. Tom Hennessy here. Tom Murtaugh.
Here.
Marianne Pellegrino. I don't see her. Erica Santiago.
Here.
Jack Stacy.
Here.
And
Sorry.
Michelle DeLucia.
Here.
And Lisa, I see you now.
Yes, I'm Melissa.
No worries.
Just an FYI, guys, I can't get that little Kajit thing working. It worked the last meeting, but it's saying won't connect. So I hope I don't go out. I apologize if it happens, though, okay?
Hi guys, it's Jen DeLongo. I'm here, but she didn't call me.
Oh, sorry. I called you in the beginning. We probably didn't. My internet's cutting in and out.
Oh,
Gotcha.
All right. So we have roll call. I think we're only missing Marianne, I believe.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So let's move ahead. I'll give my report for this evening. First, I'd like to thank everyone for being able to join tonight on such short notice. And just so you know, I've called this meeting just so the BOE can publicly discuss the factors related to a potential spike in COVID cases following the holiday, as we saw after Thanksgiving. However, even with the spike in community spread following Thanksgiving, we were able to mitigate transmission within our schools, which is why we can continue to offer our families the choice of full in-person or full live remote instruction. Though I can understand everyone's concern and frustration, I believe we need to keep our students' best interest the top priority and stay the course. So this evening, we're going to hear from both East Shore Health as well as our administration in the hope to ensure our families are informed and have ample time to prepare for any changes that may occur. I remind, again, everyone that you still have a choice to do what's best for your student and your family. Lastly, I do ask if you did or plan to celebrate and visit with family and friends prior to your return to school, please follow the COVID-19 guidelines and protocol. I ask that the superintendent resend this information following our meeting as a reminder as well. And that's all I have for this evening, which brings us to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Michelle. Tonight we're joined by Mike Pasasilla from East Shore District Health Department. And prior to Mike talking a little bit and providing a little presentation, I'd just like to say that the district has been able to remain open while continually evaluating several factors that impact our learning model decisions. And so these factors include: 1, the health of our community and transmission; 2, our ability to effectively contact trace and quarantine and mitigate effectively; 3, Our access to key resources such as PPE and cleaning supplies and other materials or resources critical to the implementation of our mitigation strategies. And 4, staffing, having adequate staff to appropriately educate and supervise students in the school setting and remotely. We want to be able to continue to provide parents the choice of remote learning or in-person learning. We know that there'll continue to be positive cases, and we will proceed to follow our protocols and use our communication channels effectively. However, we do realize that there may come a point where any one or combination of those factors that I just mentioned above may require us to make a decision about our learning model. And when this occurs, we will need to make a change. The change can impact a grade level, could impact a school, it might impact multiple schools or even the entire district. We'll try to provide as much advance notice as possible, but we want to remind parents to be ready and have a plan in the event there is cause to change our learning model as we monitor those 4 factors I just discussed. We have been working closely alongside Mike and his team at East Shore District Health Department and collaborating with the town in our weekly monitoring meetings in order to assess the situation on a continual basis. We're appreciative of their support and the town official support in assisting us to continue to provide our parents with that choice of both in-person or remote learning. And then finally, I'd just like to thank our principals, nurses, LPNs, my cabinet and administration for their support and efforts in helping to contact trace, call and notify parents and staff, and also share critical information relative to quarantining and isolation. Our teachers have been doing an amazing job, and I'm very appreciative of everyone's efforts. It would not be possible to conduct the magnitude of calls and communicate all this important information without everyone's assistance and cooperation. So at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Mike from East Shore Health, who probably may need a little bit of sharing, screen share capability.
I was able to do that, and I do ask that board members hold any questions they might have till Mr. Pasquale finishes with his presentation. And I suggest writing them down as he goes if you have them. Go ahead, Mike, it's all you.
Okay, well, first and foremost, thank you for inviting me tonight. I really appreciate it. For those who don't know who I am, I'm Michael Pascasil. I'm the Director of Health for the East Shore District Health Department, and specifically for the town of East Haven. And so I do have a presentation I'm going to pull up right now. Just make sure that everyone can see it. Okay, could everyone see that? Can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. So
Yep.
I've been getting some questions for the last several months, and specifically today. And some of the families wanted to hear about some of the latest data. So within the presentation, I'm going to show you some state data, some local data. I'm going to talk a little bit about the vaccine, the rollout of the vaccine, the different phases, and really set expectations on the vaccine, and maybe clarify some of the questions that you may have. So let me just jump into the state data. So some of the data I'm going to show you is on the state website, but I thought I would just take a minute just to explain it. And so the next 3 slides are 3 slides from the state of Connecticut data. This one is from December 15th. And so what we do with the data, we look at how many people were tested and the change. We look at how many people were positive. We look at what we call the positivity rate. Now, the positivity rate is of the people who are tested, how many of those people are positive for COVID-19. So on the 15th, it was 5.98. And then there's information about hospitalizations and fatalities. If we go to the 24th, you'll see that the positivity rate was 5.43. And so with this particular day, it was right before the holiday, so there was some additional testing, and unfortunately we had some more hospitalizations and fatalities in Connecticut. And this is as of today, all right? So this is this is still a snapshot in time, and that positivity rate for about the last week or so, it's been about 5.5% to 6%. It's gone up to 8%, 7%, and it changes daily. It all depends on how many people get tested and how many of those test positive for COVID-19. This slide, this is the town of East Haven, and I broke it up into a couple different slides so you can get an understanding of where we are as a community with our positivity rate. And so we're under 6%, just about what the state average is. And if we look at our 2-week cases per 100,000, so if we go back to the following week, it was 60.2, and data as of the 24th, it went down to 50.3. And that is calculated by the state, not by our office. And so it's 2 weeks, it's 2-week increments of data, but it's reported every week. Give you a comparison. So again, this is all on the state website to give you an idea. So, East Haven is a bit over 50, but we have some towns that are over 100, over double what we have. And there are, many towns. If you look at, the column right in here, 114.6, 88, 62, and so on. So there are many towns similar to East Haven that have much higher cases per 100,000. Some of the data for the East Shore District Health Department, just a little snapshot in time. So if we look from the summer to where we are now, cases are going up. We're in a pandemic. We knew this was going to happen. We predicted this. All our models showed this. And, with the different holidays, we saw more cases. Not unique to Connecticut. It's happening all over the United States. If we look at East Haven, similar, as we moved and transitioned from summer to fall, we saw increasing cases. Just a pause on this graph for a second. And when we look at, we could look at East Haven now, we could look at the other district towns or any town in Connecticut, and we all see the same trending. And so right after Halloween, we saw the spike. After Thanksgiving, we saw a very big spike. And as we transition further after the holiday of Christmas, some other holidays, we expect it to go up. And then, of course, after New Year's Eve, we expect another spike. And so earlier, heard Michelle talk about people maybe looking at New Year's in a different light and not doing any kind of gatherings. And I can't stress that enough. Right now, to get together, as much as we're all tempted to do it, I have to tell you, as your director of health, it is just not a good idea. COVID-19 is pretty widespread, not just in our communities, our state, our country. So please rethink New Year's Eve. Age distribution. So this is district-wide, and I have a breakdown of East Haven. So if we look at November age distribution and December age distribution, just to see where we are with our youth and the cases. So if we go back to November, it was about 14% of our youth. And if we look at December, it was about 16%. If we look at East Haven and then compare it to the district, East Haven is about 17% of our youth. When we look at total cases that are testing positive, and if we look at the distribution of the district, similar towns, it's about the same. So there's no outliers. Our data is trending with similar towns adjacent to us. Talk a little bit about the vaccine. And to set expectations. And so the next several slides, I'll talk about the different phases. So right now we're in phase 1A. Next month, we're going to be transitioning to phase 1B. And you should know that right now, the COVID-19 vaccine is not approved for children under the age of 16. Quarantine, we made some recommendations based on the state and the CDC guidelines for quarantine, and we went from 14 days to 10 days. And we did issue a memo to our communities on that. And then on the school district recommendations, I'll talk a little bit about that later. So what we know when it comes to the vaccine and what we're doing. So right now we're in phase 1A. In fact, today we had a mass vaccination clinic for the towns of Madison and Guilford. Tomorrow at the Branford High School, we're having one for our first responders for East Haven, Branford, and North Branford. And this is following the state guidelines. The vaccine that we're using is a Moderna vaccine. It's a 2-dose vaccine. And you have to get the second dose about 28 days later. And just to clarify, because a lot of folks are talking about the vaccine, right now, even if you get the vaccine, you still have to wear a mask in quarantine. That is not going to change until we have a little more data and more of the population gets the vaccination. Talk a little bit about the vaccine itself and the safety of it. So I will tell you, last week I got the vaccine myself, along with our other vaccinators and folks that are going to be working in the clinics. We had no side effects. All the data shows that there are no significant side effects for this vaccine. It's about 94.5% effective, which is actually very high. And to date, over 30,000 people have been put in the trial. The other thing you need to know about the vaccine is if you have any significant allergies, it is not recommended that you get the vaccine. And that's very similar to other vaccines. For instance, with different types of flu vaccine, if you have an egg allergy, we recommend you don't get that vaccine. Again, phase 1A, that's where the phase we're in right now. It's really focused on healthcare personnel, long-term care facilities and the residents, and of course, first responders. And phase 1B, so this is the upcoming phase. And to the best of our knowledge, based on all the information that we have been given to date, it should start sometime next month. Teachers will be put into what we're calling the essential workers. And it's basically, they fall into the category of critical workforce. And then just to set some expectations. So if you're following the supply chain that's happening with the different vaccines, at this moment in time, and this is a direct response to a question that I got before this meeting, is when can the general public expect to get it? By now, we expected to have over 20 million people vaccinated across the United States, and we're just under 2 million. And so right now there's a shortage of the vaccine. There's just not enough of it to go around. Now, we do believe that's going to change in short order over the coming months. But putting out the vaccine, it still takes time to do that. Having these mass vaccination clinics, unlike other clinics, they take longer. There's a shortage of the vaccine, and we have to prioritize it. And so we're expecting realistically that summer and fall for some of the phases for the general population. Now, that's not to say we may not have it a bit earlier, perhaps as early as late spring, but based on the information we have right now at this time, we're looking at summer into fall. So we do have a bit longer to go before we have enough vaccine to get what we call herd immunity. And that's most of the population will get the vaccine. And when we have what we call herd immunity, with the majority of the population being vaccinated, it protects the whole community. Before I take any questions, comments, one of the questions is about school safety, right? So I'm not just a director of health for East Haven. I serve as a director of health from other communities. I'm also a board member for the Connecticut Directors of Health Association. So I'm regularly talking to my colleagues, and I also sit on a committee with the State Department of Education and State Department of Public Health. And before the recommendations come out to the different school districts, I'm one of the people who sit back and we review it. And one of the things that recently has come up is, should schools close after the holiday? And we collectively agree that as long as a school district has contact tracing in place with solid procedures and we're able to quarantine and isolate, the recommendation at this time is not to close schools preemptively, while some communities are doing that. And in our case, we have a great working relationship. We've planned, as I've said in the past, for over the summer, when school started, we revised our plans, we worked together, and right now it is the opinion of the local health department and the state health department that school districts should not preemptively close. That said, if we see a change, a significant change within the COVID-19 rates within the community, so if those numbers I showed you say doubled, we would get very concerned. If we started seeing those populations that I just showed you, right now it's about 17% of school-age children. If that number doubled, then we get concerned. And so it's multifaceted. When we make decisions to either go to a hybrid plan or go virtual in a school system, we just don't look at the rates. We see what's going on, right? So again, we have to layer it out, look at all the things that could affect, and we have to weigh out that it is critically important, especially now with all the restrictions, that our school children go to school. I mean, we're seeing lots of anxiety and depression throughout the state. We're seeing suicides, we're seeing ODs, lots of public health indicators. And one thing that we collectively agree on as a state, and again, this is State Education, Department of Public Health, Social Services, is that we need as much as possible to keep kids in our school systems. And that's what we're doing in the town of East Haven. And honestly, we're doing a good job. I'm going to bring up one thing because I know it's been in the news, and that is that we had a situation with some teachers. I went on record and I said this clearly, those individuals should have known better. That said, I think it's a learning opportunity for everyone. Please, folks, follow the COVID-19 precautions. I want you to have a happy and safe New Year, but I showed you the data after Halloween, showed you the data after Thanksgiving. And if we gather for New Year's, we are going to see a spike in our community, and we could prevent it. So please, with that, follow the precautions.
Thank you, Mike. I'm going to go ahead and just call on board members as just randomly as I see you guys pop up on my screen. And I believe first I have Tom Murtaugh. Do you have any questions directly relating to Mike's presentation? Not on the agenda item. That will be discussed during discussion.
No, I don't. He actually pretty much went over it. My one question that he answered quickly was, what's the significant change? And he said if it doubled. That was my biggest wonder about it.
All right, thank you, Tom. Jack?
Yeah, my only question is, one of the charts we showed in which you showed spikes after the various holidays, Michael, one of them had like a January 2nd on it. And I'm trying to figure out how we would have numbers for January 2nd. Is that just a projection?
That's so great question, and maybe I should have acknowledged that. So when we put our charts together, that is the week ending. So the data that you saw is only data that we have to date.
Thank you. I'm
You're
good.
Okay. Lisa?
That was one of my questions. Thank you, Jack. The other question is I receive updates as well. You said it's every 2 weeks? Those numbers are every 2 weeks?
Yes. So the cases per 100,000 are every two. So they're updated every week, but they're 2-week increments. All right. So the numbers that we are going to get this Thursday are for the last 2 weeks. The numbers we get for the next Thursday will be the previous 2 weeks. So it's 2 weeks, 2-week increments, but it's reported weekly.
Okay. Because it didn't change, but you're saying the same as my list, but you're saying it's every 2 weeks reported weekly. So thank you. It just looked the same. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Tia?
I do not have any further questions. That was amazing. I felt like it was very clear and concise. So every question was answered. So people either asked my question or Michael actually he answered it before, so I didn't have to ask it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Erica?
My question is in regard to the contact tracing, specifically to our district. Is there a specific method or do you feel that the contact tracing is vigorous enough, or is there something more so that we could be doing with our contact tracing so that we can heighten it, or is there additional training that we could do for our contact tracers so that our families can feel as though we're taking extra steps or precautions for our contact tracing?
Erica, great question. And actually that was a question that I got about contact tracing from a few individuals. So our contact tracing is solid. We have staff at the health department that are dedicated specifically to the East Haven School District. And within the school district, we have staff that we are working with every single day, 7 days a week. And when we get information, as soon as either the health department gets information or the school district gets information regarding a positive COVID-19 case, we are talking every single day. What folks need to understand with the contact tracing is there are many, so the way it works and how it gets into our records is someone gets a test between 24 and 48 hours-ish, that test results comes back. Typically the person is contacted before us, unless we're actively involved in a case working with physicians. A lot of times, more likely the school gets a call about a contact or someone that tested positive. And so they let us know, or they may call us and we let the school know. And as soon as we know that, we immediately When I say immediately, I mean within an hour or so, we see where that person has been. We look at seating charts, anyone, and we have interviews with the individuals. And if we have someone that meets that criteria of 15 minutes or more, 3 feet or less, with which is a significant contact, they are immediately put into quarantine. The people who test positive are put into isolation. So I don't think we could do any better than we're doing. I have to tell you, it is rock solid. And this is one of the reasons why we're able to keep the school the way it is right now. And when you hear of some of the school districts that are closing, it is many times because they don't have that contact tracing mechanism in place. So talking to some of my colleagues, some of the school districts that are closing is when the school and the health districts are having communications, we have a name or names of people who tested positive, and we start asking questions. Where has that student been? Where has that staff member been? When did they get tested? We have asked a bunch of questions. Because of the processes we put in place, we're able to immediately find out. Now, if on the flip side, if we ask questions like, well, where has that student been? We don't know. When was the last time they're in school? I don't know. We'll have to get back to it. If we heard that, school, we would make a recommendation because we didn't have the information that the school has to pause. We have never had to do that because our questions are answered. And again, we spent the entire summer putting a plan together, and we've been polishing that plan since school opened.
Okay. All right. Mike, just on that, the contact tracing, what is the turnaround time for facilities and testing sites to report the positive cases to East Shore? Just to put that, I know I've asked you this before, but just to put it in perspective, and that are all tests reported, such as is the rapid test reported?
Correct. So they're all reported. At this moment in time, it's about 24 to 48 hours. So if we go back in time, waiting times were almost a week. And there weren't, at times, there weren't enough testing facilities. But now that we have a lot of testing facilities, now that we have more accurate tests, we're finding in general, at this moment in time, 24 to 48 hours, sometimes a bit longer. We do expect over the coming days that it may take a bit longer because typically what we've seen is after major events like holidays, more people get tested. It puts a little bit of a burden on the system, and so the time delays a bit less. But on average, about 24 to 48 hours-ish.
Okay, thanks. Tom?
I'm all set, thank you.
Mary Ann?
No questions.
Okay, Jen?
No questions.
I'm sorry, I believe I got all the members, correct? Yes. Oh, Tom Murda, all right, go ahead.
I just have one other kind of follow-up question. The Pfizer vaccine you can't give for 16 and over. The Moderna you can't give for 18, only for 18 and up. So the school population basically can't get it. And if the general public isn't available to get it until possibly, in end of September or end of the summer, beginning of the fall, how long, or is there any way that they're going to be looking at if they can give younger children, which is 90% or 95% of the school population, a vaccine, or is it pretty much going to be from herd inoculation?
So you're going to get some immunity from the herd immunity, right? So if most of the adults get it, it's going to protect the children somewhat, not 100%. They are working on a child's vaccine. But with children's vaccine, there's a higher standard in order to get the vaccine out because their immune systems are developing. Whereas adults, their immune system for the most part is already developed or mostly developed depending on the age. So there's a higher standard for children that has a different requirement as far as approval. And so the decision that was made was to move forward with the adult vaccine. And as we speak, the children's vaccine is in development right now. So it will be coming out at some point. It's just a different standard because, again, their immune system's developing. So the short answer is we still got a bit of time before that vaccine is released.
Are you all set, Tom?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Any other board members have any follow-up questions at this time? Okay, then we will move on to, thank you so much for joining us tonight, Mike. We could move on to approval of meeting minutes from our regular meeting on December 22nd, 2020. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to accept the minutes of our regular meeting on December 22nd, 2020.
Erica Santiago, I second it.
Well, Michelle, I just want to thank Mike. I think as a board, we should all thank Mike. Thank you very much. It's very thorough, very, very grateful for the presentation.
Okay.
You're welcome.
All right, so we have a motion to approve the meeting minutes from December 22nd, 2020. I'm going to ask Melissa if you could do a roll call vote, please.
Yep. Okay. Tia DePalma,
Yes.
Jennifer DeLongo,
Yes.
Lisa Geraci Anastasio,
Yes.
Tom Hennessy,
Yes.
Tom Murtaugh,
Yes.
Marianne Pellegrino.
Yes.
Let me mark you as president as well. And Jack Stacy
Yes.
and Michelle DeLucia.
Yes.
All in favor, motion carries.
Okay.
I didn't vote, but yes. Erica Santiago.
Oh, so everyone voted yes. Okay.
Sorry,
All right.
Erica.
Okay, so we're going to move on to new business, discussion and possible action on the East Haven Public School learning model. So what I'm going to ask is if the superintendent could just give us an update on the current learning model and hear from her recommendation.
Yeah, so currently we're in a full in-person model with an option for parents to select remote learning where we're doing live synchronous instruction. And right now, parents have the choice. If they're comfortable, they can send their children to school for in-person learning, or they have the option to keep them home and access instruction remotely. Based on what Mike shared with us, the relationship that we have, the supportive nature of the board and our town, and all of the assistance from our school nurses, our administration, my cabinet, and in keeping in mind those factors that I alluded to before, which are having the ability to continually get data on the health of our community and transmission of the virus, our ability to effectively contact trace, quarantine, isolate, and mitigate, our access to key resources for PPE, cleaning supplies, and other materials critical to mitigation, and our ability to have enough staff to adequately supervise and educate kids. All those factors in place, I think we can continue with the model that we're in. However, if we see an instance where any one or combination of those factors become a challenge to us, then at that point we would need to pivot and select another learning model for a grade level, a school, several schools, the district, depending on the context of the situation. Provided that we continue to have the support from Mike and the town and the board, and we're adequately able to use our staff to effectively contact trace and use our communication protocols, I think we can remain open at this time. However, I just want to make sure everybody's prepared and ready should we need to pivot at some point.
Thank you, Erica. So at this time, I'm going to open it up for discussion. We actually do not need to make a motion at this time. So I will go ahead and call on Tom. Here again, top of my screen, Tom Murtaugh. Any questions or comments?
I think, you know, if they can continue to do in school, I think that's best for the kids morally, educationally, and everything. I think that would be the most appropriate thing. But if we do get a spike, are you thinking of going more to the first phase would be like a hybrid and then to an all remote learning, you know, to try and keep as many kids in the classroom as possible?
So that's a great question, Tom, and I think it really depends on the context. As you know, we had a situation at Deer Run School where, you know, one of the positive cases resulted in quarantining large number of individuals, including staff, that didn't really allow us to have adequate staff in the school setting to keep kids in the school. So we did have to temporarily take a pause and go remotely for 2 weeks there. I think we have to look at every single circumstance. Certainly our goal is to have our buildings open and kids with the option for in-person learning. But Jen Murray and our tech services under the supervision of Randall and our specialized services for our specialized populations under Bob Swan's direction are all prepared to pivot into a hybrid, full remote, or whatever is necessary based on the context and data and situations that arise.
And if I might add, Erica, that includes sort of as it stands now, our teachers have been working really hard. We have a really good dialogue where they're keeping sort of a systemic routine and structure so that we can pivot quite easily. We do encourage families who need hotspots or internet to reach out. We still have those devices for families in need of improved internet service. In the case that we do, you know, have any kind of need for that, or even if your family just would benefit from that in your home for homework and things like that. And as it's currently, you know, outlined, we have good communication tools to support those 2A communications with families. And we just encourage families to continue to review those weekly communications. Again, and I thank all of those families, teachers, and community members who are in attendance tonight and thoughtfully reached out with questions beforehand. Please continue to do so.
Thank you, Jen. Tom, are you all set for now? I will circle back.
No, yes, I am all set. Thank you.
Jack?
Yeah, no questions, just a comment. I heard from just a few people today regarding this matter, and in every instance that I got, they were requesting that we please keep the schools open. That's it.
Thank you, Jack. Lisa?
Michelle, you know I've been back and forth with this. I have my own opinion about them remaining in school. My child has her own plan due to her own disability. So I've been questioned from many parents as to why I believe one way and I'm acting another way, but you know the situation. I do think that the children should remain in school, but it does depend on each child and individual. As you stated, if the family feels the child should remain home, they should remain home. I don't know. That's where I'm at with that. I didn't get that. Oh, could you try again? Sorry. Sorry. That's where I'm at with where I feel, but I do have some concerns about the way things are handled in other regimes. I don't think we have the right to be like taking our own polls and going out on social media. I think we as a board have rules and we need to stand by them. I don't think it's our right. So if you said to me or Erica says, this is what our regime's gonna be and we need to follow suit, then we as a board need to follow suit. We don't have the right, it's not ethical, it's not just. We can't form our own polls on social media. We spoke about that. We spoke about policies of social media. I think we as a board need to remain united and it needs to come before us all, not make our own not equitable, not totally diverse, not total across the board. I just think we need to remain together. And I don't think that's happening. So I think if you ask what my opinion is, yes, we should remain in school, but I also think that we should remain united as a board. And you need to get that in check. As a board, we need to get that in check. And it's important and it's paramount. Maybe Mike can suggest some suggestions. Erica could make some suggestions, but I don't think we should be taking it upon ourselves to polling our social media. Each one of us has the right to make a decision. We bring it to you, then it becomes the forefront, and that's it. We don't have the right to do that. You took that policy of public comment away for a reason during a special meeting. Is that fair to say, Michelle?
Yes.
Thank you.
I
No, just
generally
well,
don't do that during special meetings.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So my point is that we don't have the right to take a poll on social media. It's not our right. So again, I'm following your rules, which I respect too. Don't go after anybody. It's not about that. It's about that you made a policy. We need to remain just and forefront. And it's not about me. I just told you my child has her own circumstances, so I have to address that. But my opinion is we need to remain in school. I'm so for that. But we need to stay united as a board, and we're not there. We talk about it every meeting. We talk about respecting one another. We talk about not attacking one another. And every meeting, the same thing happens. So tonight, my suggestion would be that we remain united, children stay in school, and we respect one another. And that's it. That's and I'll wrap it up with that. But I think that we need to remain united. So it was long-winded, but it was way overdue. So thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Okay, Erica.
Okay, so I'd like to talk about the actual subject. I did a poll on Facebook because I wanted to talk about the actual subject, and I wanted to see how the parents actually felt about it. So 84 parents did message me, email me, and give me phone calls, and they were all incredibly grateful. Erica, I wanted to provide you with a lot of their feedback. I think it's important, especially for the community outreach part. So I asked parents to let me know how they felt and for their children, and I wanted to make the best choice tonight if we did come to a vote, and I wanted to be able to do so and know that I wholeheartedly represented the parents. So 84 parents did contact me. Of that, 4 of them had mixed feelings. 14 felt that we should have 2 weeks off, but 66 parents strongly felt that we should go right back to school on Monday. They used the words, they're proud of East Haven. They're proud of the job. They're proud of the job that the teachers are doing. Some mentioned that they would like more communication. However, they said that they felt that their messages and the emails and everything were strong. They felt that their kids were safe in school. The schools were clean. They were happy with the progress that their kids were making. They felt that their special needs children would regress. Virtual learning was going to be difficult, and it wouldn't cut it for their child in particular. I listened to a lot of personal stories that parents had, and it was a long day listening to a lot of their stories, and some of them were very sad. And as you know, I have a blind son, so I definitely can empathize with a lot of the things that they said. And a lot of them is new depression with a lot of their teen children. So I'm glad I did do that on Facebook today because I think it was needed and their opinions definitely mattered. And a lot of them thanked me for actually taking the time to listen to them, that they felt it was nice to let their voices be heard. So Eric, I wanted to send you a few of those emails because a lot of them are really grateful. So so they're very happy if we do continue to be open on the
on you can just share those with the entire board. That would be great.
Yeah, no problem. You got it.
And you know, I was hoping this didn't pop up tonight, but I did make an inquiry just to ensure that our policy was not in any way being violated, and I was assured that every
I asked for opinion, and the policy was not violated as long as it actually didn't create a quorum of back and forth. I think it was more so just one board member felt that, you know, I couldn't have an opinion. I'm actually not friends with Lisa on Facebook, so that's all.
Okay. All right. So again, we all have the right to
word bully. Can you say the word bully? Can you say the word bully? So inappropriate. Shut up. You're a bully.
Okay, let's go ahead and move to Mr. Palmer.
I'm sorry, I just need to collect myself after that. I just want to know, I want parents and everybody to know that I don't think there really is any one of us who doesn't want to do what's right for all the kids. There's no doubt in my mind. Lisa, Erica, Jack, Tom, I really believe that with all my heart, that we all do believe that. Any constituent, any person can call, email. I just think anybody can give their opinions, and I will look at them and read them and take that into consideration when I make decisions or give my opinion on something. But I just think we need to go the course. It's going great. I get very upset just seeing people bash certain people, whether it's a board member or an administrator. We just have to keep it all in focus and absolutely just remember that all of this is about the kids. And I feel wholeheartedly the kids belong in school. It's been successful. If the transmission changes and it becomes, obvious that we have to make other arrangements, then I'm sure that we will. But I think it's been going great the way it's working, and everybody has that choice of what is best for their children. But I just think that we should stay the course and go with the recommendation of our very capable superintendent and the East Shore Health Department, because I do believe that everyone is working so hard to share the information and to do what's best for the children. And that's what it's all about. Thank you.
Mary Ann?
I couldn't unmute myself. I really feel that it is the superintendent and the health department's job to decide what we should do. And as a board, it's our job to support them with the stipulation that we can advise and can give advice if we feel it is necessary.
Thank you, Mary Ann. And that's why we're all here this evening. Tom, Mr. Hennessy.
I totally support in person. I think our district's very lucky, and thank you to our superintendent and the health director. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Tom. And Jen.
Okay, so I don't have any questions. I just wanted to make comment. I think I also support in-person learning. I think the town has done a great job compared to other towns, and working with COVID every day and testing nearly 200 patients a day. I feel like it's amazing that we've kept the kids isolated from certain cases and that it's not spreading through the classrooms, because I've seen other towns where it does happen that way. So I think we should stay the course, even though we're predicting a peak, but I think we'll be able to handle it. And if it comes down to where the kids have to do remote learning, I think our live streaming is capable, and I think they'll do well with that.
Thank you, Jen. I myself, as a parent of children in district, I get it. I get the fear. I get the uncertainty. But that's, again, why I'm grateful that I have that decision to make on what is best for my family and my children. I would never want to impose that on an entire school district. So again, I am grateful that we all have that choice. And I'm going to ask one more time if any board members have any additional questions or comments at this time.
Michelle, may I say something?
Yes, Mike.
Am I allowed to? Okay. No. All right. So I've met with you folks a few times now. And so the families know every week I meet with town officials, including your superintendent. And every week for about the last month, I meet with the with Erica and her team and representatives from your board. It's a real personal decision, you know. So not just a health director. I'm a parent of 2 children who are going to school in person. You're making a decision for the entire town, and you're taking it very serious, and like you should. And we've had lots of dialogue, but I want to assure you, and I want to assure every family out there that the second the health department feels that it is not safe, we will be making not just a recommendation to change the model. So be assured that at this time, based on everything we know, the school is safe, and that the best place for our children is in school. I would argue with and debate with anybody that there is probably not a safer place for our children to be than in our schools. And so you're taking this conversation very serious. And it's a tough conversation. I mean, folks, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and look what's happening around us. And a lot of those decisions on whether it's 15 cases per 100,000 or 25 cases per 100,000, those were decisions that were made many months ago. And what we have learned is that we can keep the schools open, even at high community spread. Now, if some of the things that were outlined change, we will have to make a decision, and that could happen, right? I mean, there's a series of things that could happen, but at this moment in time, I think you're making the right decision by keeping your schools open. And again, I cannot emphasize that the contact tracing that we are doing is stellar. It is second to none, and that is why our schools are safe. And I just really wanted to emphasize that. And then lastly, to all our families, to all our residents, everyone watching this, we are doing our part. The school is doing their part. The town officials are doing their part. We need you to do your part, because that community spread that we're seeing is a result of not what's happening in our schools. It's what's happening at home. It's what's happening in our community. And we really need people to look at those precautions, social distancing, wearing masks. You need to take it serious, because when we do, the rate goes down. And when we don't, the rate goes up. And so please do your part and know that the school system is safe.
Thank you, Mike.
Oh, just wanted to get that out there.
No, thank you. And it is a very important message. I mean, we've seen that we have been able to mitigate transmission in the classrooms. And I do believe that you will let us know if that in any way becomes jeopardized. I mean, my children do attend in person, but as a parent, I just understand, you know, the uncertainty, and I'm sure you do as well, whatever decision. So do any other board members have any questions or comments? Lisa?
Just a quick question. I know, Erica, we've had like the surveys in the past. Now, obviously, all of us are getting our own messages. But when's the last time are we going to be asking our families what their thoughts are at this point, or you think it's just a moot point and it's your decision, and you know the chair's decision is, or us as a board's decision? I'm only asking because the questions are coming in. So just your thoughts on it. Do you feel that there should be another questionnaire survey going out, or you think we're good?
So we were looking at quarterly surveys. We just sent one out. And Julie, if you recall, a couple board meetings ago, presented the results from the parent survey. Certainly we can reevaluate the survey and add some questions and think about what other insight and feedback we might like when we send out the next survey. But yes, we were planning on doing it at multiple points during the year to continually collect feedback in order to inform our decisions.
Just inform them, as I stated before, of many individuals understand and comprehend at different levels. So can you give me an actual verbal timeline as when the next one will be sent out, please?
I think Julie actually gave that timeline calendar.
I know you said it was given out, Michelle. I'm just asking you when it's going to be next. Is it going to be, I didn't hear when the first one was out, and I apologize.
The end of quarter 2, I believe.
Yes, and end of quarter 2, but I will send the board an email with the window of time.
Just for informational purposes, because like I said, people ask, and I don't have any, just want to, I want them to hear you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right. So at this time, if there's no other questions or comments, I am going to say that I hope all of you had a happy holiday, and I hope you have a safe new year. Jack, you had a question?
No, but I would like to end this year on a positive note. So I have just a couple quick announcements, if I may. So today it was announced that the East Haven High School boys soccer team is this year's recipient of the George Ritchie Sportsmanship Award. It's an award given by the Connecticut Soccer Coaches Association. It's awarded for sportsmanship and fair play. Due to COVID, there'll be no banquet, but a plaque is being sent. So I just wanted to make congratulations to Coach Papantonio, Assistant Coach Roque, and to the members of the boys soccer team. It's quite an honor to receive this award. And secondly, Isabella Pilato, who was named All-State First Team in girls soccer, will be signing a letter of intent to continue her soccer career this Thursday at 11 a.m. in the East Haven High School foyer. Where she's going, I'll let her make that announcement on Thursday. So, great news from the athletic end.
Hopefully you could share that choice with us on the 12th.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you, Jack.
So as I said, our next meeting will be on January 12th. We have finance at 6:30. We have the regular board meeting at 7. And in the interim, I believe we have a budget workshop. It is that time of year, folks. So I will see everyone next week as well.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Bye.
Thank you.